Hey guys, welcome back to some more 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross. This is going to be the complete gear guide to the game. I'm going to lay it out in a format that hopefully is the easiest way possible to understand. There'll be a lot of timestamps in the description if you want to check it out, but hopefully this video will get you a good grasp on gear and where you want to be going with it. So let's get into the video. So the first thing we're going to look at is quickly just the gear sets. There's not too much to go into. They're fairly self-explanatory. You basically just over the left here, you can click on all of them, and then just up the top here, you can see how many pieces of it you need, which is the first number, and then what the bonus it gives. And where you're going to get these is, it's just basically from the left, it goes attack, chapter 1, then chapter 2, 3, 4, 5. These recovery ones will come in chapter 6 when they release it, and then these last few, the crit damage, the crit defense, and the lifesteal will come from the arena shop. It's the only place I've seen to actually get them at the moment. And basically with sets, the general idea in the beginning of the game, you're going to want to stick to either attack and defense, because defense is a 2-piece, so you can go 4 attack, 2 defense, or 4 HP and 2 defense. The reason being is when we look at stat weights for your combat class, which is very important to get the first turn and all that sort of stuff, it gives you more combat class when you stack those main stats being attack, defense, and HP. So that's the reason you want to aim for those. Early game anyway, once you get to end game, you'll start building other sets to get other stats for specific characters. But as a base, it's safe just to put the attack and defense or HP and defense. So that's it for the sets. Now we're going to go in and talk about the main stat on the gear. So I've got my Gustav here. He's just got all basic rare gear just to keep it easy for explanations. But basically the top 2 pieces, so the braces and the ring, they're both going to have attack as the main stat, and they're always going to have attack as a main stat. The next 2 are going to be the earrings and the necklace. They're always going to have defense as the main stat, and then the next 2 are going to be the belt and the orb, and they're always going to have HP as the main stat. So attack, defense, HP from the top down. Very, very simple. Now the thing about these main stats is they do have rolls. So as you can see, this is a rare piece of it with 232 attack. This is a piece, it's got the same attack. This one has 228. To check how well weighted your stat is, you can hit this change stats, and it will bring up this bar. And as you can see, this piece can have either up to from 180 up to 240 attack. So when this isn't too big of a deal when you're looking at like common to rare gear, but once you get into your SSR gear, you kind of want to be upgrading gear that has a high main stat. You don't want to, if the bar's down the bottom, you don't really want to look at it. Now, there's a really helpful resource for this over on sdsgc.gg. I leave it linked in all my videos, so you can go check it out. But this is just one of the charts from it, and this is a very easy way to look at it. So what you can see is there, you can see the different stats that each piece gives at, you can look at it from common up to SSR. Now on that chart, you can see that the bracer is attack, which is the one on the left up here. So the bracer has attack and the ring has attack. But as you can see, when we look in game, this one has 232 and this one has 126. So what happens with the main stat is that these left pieces of gear all have a higher base main stat than the right hand side pieces of gear. Now that's going to be important later on when we talk about what pieces of gear to upgrade as you're playing through the game. But as you can see here on that chart, the braces on SSR gear, for instance, have a max of 520, whereas the ring only has a max of 280. So the left-hand side is going to be better to have your SSR gear and stuff on that side, and then your other gear you can have less rare gear because we'll look at substats in a second. So that's pretty much all there is to the main stat in your gear. The next thing we're going to look at is powering up gear. So I'm just going to power up one of these pieces just to show you. And when we go to enhance, you go here. So there's a few things you can see in this thing. Up the top, it's got level 0 to 1. That's your success rate. It means that you're going to get 100% success rate to go +1. These things go up to +5. This here is a pity filter. So once you get to higher star rating gear, that success chance is going to go down and you're going to get fails. And then as this fills up, whatever your success chance is, if that plus this bar can equal 100, you can click this button here and it'll turn it on, and it means you're going to get that extra success rate. The bar goes back down and then you work it back up. Here are your substats, which you get when you awaken, which we'll get into in a second. And then this is where you can power up. Now you can also do consecutive power ups, which is really nice. So here you can select what what level you want it to get to. So like I said, it goes to +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to awaken it and get a star and then go back to 0 and go through to 5 again. So you can go here and you can just hit consecutively power up. Select that one, or you can just go enhance 10 times if you like. That's more of a late game thing when you're enhancing SSR gear and you're not getting many successes. This one is pretty much when you got common to rare gear, you're just going to do this. The enhancing is just going to cost basically gold and the red gems. The rarity of the gear is going to determine how many red gems it's going to cost you per power up and how much gold, and also how many stars the gear is. So as this one goes up to 1 star, it's going to cost me more of the red gems to actually upgrade. But there we go, we get it to +5. Then we're ready to pretty much go ahead and awaken it. So we just hit close there, and now we can go awaken. So when we awaken it, it's going to use these blue stones. Now the blue stones, the star of the blue stone you're going to need is going to be equivalent to the rarity of the gear. So common is 1 star, uncommon is 2 star, rare 3 star, SR is 4 star, and then SSR is 5 stars. So that's the basics behind that. And then we're just going to go ahead and upgrade. And the gold cost and the cost of everything scales with the rarity of the gear basically. And as you can see there, we actually got a HP substat, which is really nice. So when we talked about the main stats giving you the best weight earlier, when you reroll for a substat, you're really going to want to aim for the same substat that's on the gear. And you can check what substats are available by hitting this little magnifying glass here. As you can see, HP can be 1 to 3%. The rest of your stats are there as well. But the one you really want to aim for is that same stat. So on attack pieces of gear, so the top 2 pieces of gear, you're going to want to aim for attack. The middle 2 pieces of gear, you're going to want to aim for defense as a substat because that's the main stat. And then these ones, you're going to want to aim for HP. It's just, that's the simple way. Yes, towards the end game, you're going to change it up for specific heroes. But as a general base, when you're building your first few sets of gear, that's just a really solid base to start from. The next thing I want to look at with substats is you can re-roll them. So you can go here and click change stats. So when we do that, we can select which one of these we want to do, and then we can re-roll it. As you can see here, it costs 10,000 gold to re-roll that substat, or 3 anvils. Now these anvils, do not use them on anything but SSR gear is my recommendation. That's the only thing I want to use them on, and that's all I am going to use them on. So do not use the anvils, especially when you can use gold. As a general base, I would never upgrade SR gear. SR gear is in this weird spot where it costs diamonds to upgrade, and it's just bad gear, so it doesn't really matter. You just don't want to waste the diamonds at all. SSR gear is going to require, if we just quickly jump over here, I'm getting a little bit in between. Okay, so if we jump over here quickly, look at the piece of SSR gear that I have here, and if we go change stats, as you can see, if I click this one, it's going to cost me 2 diamonds. You never want to do that. That's way too expensive. Save up, get these anvils. The anvils you can actually get from the arena shop once you're at silver rating, I think, which is not too hard to get to. So that's where I've got my few at the moment to reroll substats. And like I said, you really want to aim for the same substat as the main stat. Even this crit chance being a maxed out 4.5, I will eventually reroll, but for now, because I'm so low on anvils, I don't want to risk rerolling and not getting a good substat. So for this stage of the game, I'm going to leave that crit chance, but say if I got like an attack that was about here on the bar, it would still give me more overall combat class than the crit chance. But for now, I'm just leaving that crit chance because it's maxed out. It's okay. It's my first ever piece of SSR gear that I'm upgrading. So you just got to play a balance like that. But if it was common gear and if it was a common piece of gear, I got this max roll, I just re-roll that straight away until I got attack. So that's pretty much all there is about the substats. Like I said, you upgrade each time you go, you're going to awaken it, get a new substat, then you can reroll. So this is where we're going to talk about which ones are the optimal pieces of gear to upgrade. Now, in general, some people think it's going to be rare gear, some people think uncommon to common. Everyone's a little bit different. I personally prefer common gear on the right hand side, and then looking into upgrading SSR gear on the left hand side. Just the common gear purely because when we looked at awakening and powering up the rare gear, it ends up being about twice as expensive as common gear. So I'd rather build like the right hand side of 4 sets of gear in common first, and then be on my way and save a bit of gold that way. Because the thing about those substats is it doesn't matter whether it's common gear, uncommon gear, SSR gear, the substat weights are the same. So as you can see, this substat here is going to be attack 2.5, 2.9. So it's basically, once again, you can hit that little info button to find out. But basically, your main stat is going to be a max of 3%. Attack is going to be 3% on any piece of gear you get. So that's why you'd rather go to this one where I can reroll for gold instead of diamonds and anvils, which I don't have much of. So I'd rather reroll there. And as you can see, that was a reroll on that. The reason I'm rerolling this one, because it was a really low attack roll, so I'd rather get a bit higher. And being that it only cost 5,000 gold, compared to the 10,000 of re-rolling rare gear, I'm hoping we get into, so this is what will happen. It's very rare you do it quickly and get the substat you want. So as you can see, we've done 4 re-rolls so far, and we still haven't hit an attack substat. And there we go, we finally got an attack. That's a really good one. That is the perfect substat. That is what we want. We close there, and that's what we take away. So as you can see with this, this is why you want to focus on that common gear, in my opinion, because it's a lot cheaper. You can work on a few more sets at the start, and you got to remember, you're going to have a lot of heroes built at the end of the day, so you're going to be able to shift that gear around as well. But that is pretty much everything there is to do with gear. So mainly try and stick with common on the right hand side, SSR on the left hand side. I've even gone into a few rare pieces on the left hand side on my main attack unit, if I can find her. So she's my main attack unit. As you can see, I've gone with 2 rare pieces on the left hand side. Everyone else, I'm just going to put unupgraded SSR gear for now. Once I get my 4 main sets of common gear upgraded on the right hand side, then I might look at doing the same on my other heroes, until obviously I get enough of the blue gems to keep awakening my SSR gear, because those blue gems are hard to get. That's probably the last thing I need to cover. So quick recap before we cover the blue gems. Right hand side common gear, in my opinion, you can go up to rare gear. It's rerollable with gold, it's good, it's cheap. Substat, main stat, basically your substat wants to be the same stat as your main stat on all the rolls, and you can just keep rerolling till you get the right ones. As you can see, this one, I will reroll that again because 1.4 is too low. I like to aim for at least 2% on attack. That's like my minimum that I really aim for. But if you're running low on gold and you just get an attack, just stick with it and then re-roll it later. That's what I did with that one. And then yeah, just basically common right. I've said that a few times. SSR left, and good to go. Aim for those substats and happy days. Now I want to just quickly look at those blue gems that you're going to use for awakening the gear. You can go over to King and exchange materials, and basically, as you can see, the 5-star ones are going to be hard to come by. So my basic rule of thumb is I've been downgrading all my 2 stars into 1 stars to help me upgrade that common gear. And then I've been upgrading, well, I've only had 1 so far, but I've been upgrading these ones, the 4 stars, 6 4-stars into a 5-star. And this is still very, very early days. The rare sets, I'm sort of torn on what I do. Sometimes I downgrade a couple to get them down to 1 star if I'm upgrading some common gear and I'm out of them there. Or sometimes I'll upgrade them into the 4-star to get 5-star, because there's the 2 main pieces of gear, and then obviously for some pieces of rare gear, the 2 pieces that I've built, I've been upgrading them with those. So the 3 stars are my in-between that I'm not too sure what I'm doing with at the moment. Sometimes it just depends what piece of gear I'm upgrading, really. The 4 stars I always go up, the 2 stars I always go down, and then yeah, the 3 stars depends what you're doing. Early game you'll probably bring them down. Once you get to end game, you go up. And yes, that is inefficient in the long term, but when you consider the gain you're going to get now to help your team advance by having more of those 1-star bluestones, upgrading those common sets, it's actually not too bad. So that is that. That's it for upgrading gear. The last thing I want to cover is SSR gear and how to get it. So basically, the way you're going to get SSR gear and be able to farm it is if you go to any chapter and you basically go to the town. I'm just going to go to chapter 2 because it's the first one that I've maxed out. You're pretty much going to want to go into the town, do as many blue daily quest, blue quests for it as you can. If you go to the quest log, you can come over here, see chapter 2, and then you just follow these. You're going to want to do as many as you can until you get to the 5 hearts here. Then you're going to unlock the ability to go over to these sections here and actually do the hard mode of them. And the hard mode of them is where you're actually going to be able to get the loot drops for SSR gear. Now, it's only a 3% chance, but the first time you get there, once you unlock the 5 heart relationship with the town, you'll actually get quests to go and complete like 8 runs of these on hard mode. I think I've actually got one here to show you. So if I go to chapter 2 here and I scroll down, As you see, I've got a quest. I've done most of them. I've got 2 more to go. And it's going to give me a quest to clear these things 8 times, and it's going to give you 1 guaranteed SSR piece of gear, which is really nice. So that's how you get SSR gear. That's a bit later game that you're going to start farming that, but that is everything to do with gear. If there's something I missed, let me know. I can cover it in another video or answer your questions in the comments. Jump over to Discord if you want to discuss it over there as well. But hopefully that was easy to understand in a format that's not too bad. Once again, I'll have those timestamps there, which you've probably already seen, so I won't talk about them anymore. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.